So the goal of today's lesson will be figuring out how to write a linear equation given a point, a slope, a couple of points, or a graph. All right. So by the end of this lesson, you will know how to write a linear equation given any bits of information that I just mentioned. If you don't know how to do that by the time you finish this video, come back to the Zoom chat and ask. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Before you pull up the notes and get into the notes, go ahead and open up a Desmos tab. We're going to come back to this tab later. Open it up so you have it open and you can type in the stuff with me. But for now, let's go ahead and get on the notes. So this is our lesson 6. I believe we got the numbers wrong a little bit up here, but writing equations of lines. That's what we're going to be covering. And since our goal was to write the equation of a line, our essential question is going to revolve around that same thing. All right, so our essential question is going to be, how can I create an equation of a line when given the slope and a point, 2 points, or the graph? All right, or the graph. And in this lesson, I'm going to try to keep things color coded really well. But if I forget to do a particular color for something, forgive me. It's a lot to handle and to keep track of. All right, but let's get into the lesson. First, let's recall slope-intercept form. By now, you all should all know this. If you don't, you gotta come talk to me or something like that. Slope-intercept is the basis for all we're doing in this lesson today, and for the most part, this entire unit. So our slope-intercept form is going to be y equals, and then I'll have my m. That's going to be that pinkish color, x plus, and then I'll have my b be this purple color. Y equals mx plus b. That is our point, not our point, slope. That's the next bit. That is our slope-intercept form, okay? Our m is our slope, and our b is our y-intercept, okay? And if you don't remember, go ahead and write it on this set of notes as well. Here's my pen. M is slope, okay? And slope is rise over run, okay? Up and down, over left and right. That's what our slope is. But we also can't forget our b. Our b is our y-intercept. So b is y-intercept. I'm not going to write the whole thing. Actually, I will. Intercept. But from now on, if I abbreviate it, it'll be int, y-int. Okay? And our y-intercept is a point. It's going to be 0, and then whatever our b value is. All right? Whatever our b value is. Okay, so that's the recall. That's what we've done so far, okay? Now we have our point slope form. That's a new bit of information that we're going to use later on. Our point slope form looks like y minus, and then I'm going to do y1 as red, y1, and I'll explain that in a minute. Y minus y1 equals m, same m as before, so we'll have that same color. And then we'll have, in parentheses, x minus x1. All right. And if you don't get what that means, that's okay. I'm going to explain it. Our x1 and our y1, those are going to be points, and we'll get into that in a minute. Okay. Y1 and x1, those are going to be points. It's a set of ordered pairs. That's going to end up being this bit here. X1, comma, y1. All righty. So We have 4 different cases that we can solve for. We'll start off with the first type. Type 1, if we are given our slope, here, ooh, that's some rough writing. If we are given our slope, and our y-intercept, okay? And the y-intercept. Our first step when we're doing this thing is going to be to substitute our values for m and n in the slope-intercept form. So if we're given a point, or if we're given our slope, this m, and we're given our y-intercept, we have our equation for the most part already mapped out. It's going to be that same thing, y equals mx plus b. So we're just going to substitute in our slope, which is our m. Oops. Substitute our m and our b into the slope-intercept form, and then that's it. That's just going to be that y equals mx plus b, the way we have. So let's look at an example. I'm going to do the first one, and then you all will be able to do the second one. If you have questions, come ask them. All right, so it says, write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 6. So let's circle the things that we have. We have our y-intercept here, and then we have our slope of 2 over here. Alrighty. So now when we go to write this equation, we're going to have it y equals m, which is our 2x, and then our y-intercept is just 6. So it's going to be 2x plus 6. All right. We were given a slope and we were given a y-intercept, and that's how we're going to write it in slope-intercept form when given those bits of information. So our next type, if you are given, excuse me, if you are given the slope and 1 point, all right, that's going to be our next bit. So if we're given the slope, I'm going to try and keep the colors all the same. Slope here, slope and 1 point, and I believe I have point in red. This is going to be what we do here, right? So first, we're going to label the point. We're going to label our x's and our y's in the point just to keep us on track. It's a bad parentheses, looks like a C. There we go. So we're going to have our x1 and our y1. That's our point labeled. Then we're going to substitute our values for m, x, and y. I'm going to write x and y first because I have that color selected. Then I'm going to come back and put my m in the right color. M. Right? And then we're going to solve the equation for y. Come on now. There we go. For y. And here's where our slope-intercept, not our slope-intercept, our point slope comes in, okay? Our point slope, this equation here, this y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We have our slope outlined in a color, and then we have our, ooh, that parentheses is red. I should make that black. And then we have our point outlined in color. That's where this comes from, all right? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And that x1 just means the first x, the y1 just means the first y. All right, so example. Write the equation of the line that has a slope of 3 and goes through the points 2, 1. All right, so we're going to use our point slope formula, and then we're going to solve it for y. So let's start off just by writing it out. So remember, we have y minus y1 equals x, or equals m times x minus x1. All right. Ooh, let me write that parentheses in the right color. X minus x1. All right, there we go. And so we have this slope and this point. Our point here is this 2, 1. Actually, let me do it this way. We have our y1 here and our x1 here. And then our slope is this 3. All right, 3. Okay, so now let's actually go ahead and write this equation. And I'm just going to write it all in one color because switching back and forth like that takes a lot more time. So our equation, when we have our y minus y1, we don't know, we're solving for that. Y minus our y1, no, I'll write it in the right color. Y minus 1 equals, our m is this 3 right here. So equals 3 times x, which is a variable in this case. And then our x1 is 2, x minus 2. All right. And so a tricky part in this thing, you might be like, yo, Mr. Williams, I don't get this x minus x1 and this y minus y1 piece. Our y and our x that we have in this, oops, our x1 isn't x1, our x1 is 2. Our y and our x in this equation that don't have the ones next to them, those are what's going to be the y and the x that we get when we write this in slope intercept form. Okay. So I'll go ahead and I'll run through this process, and then it should hopefully make sense by then. I wonder if I can move all of this up. Select annotation. Let's do that. Oh, I can move it up. I'm actually going to put it right here. All right, there we go. And so now when we go to actually solve this thing, our first step, we see we have this 3, and we're going to solve it like we've solved many, many equations before. I don't have any extra colors to use, so I'm just going to solve it. We have this 3 times this x. This 3 needs to get distributed to that x and to that 2. And so we end up y minus 1 equals 3x minus 2. Oh, goodness, 3 times 2 is 6. 3x minus 6. And here we have this. And now we have this y minus 1. This y isn't by itself, so we need to get it by itself by moving this one over by performing our opposite operations. So y minus 1, so we're going to do plus 1 on this side and plus 1 on this side. Minus 1 plus 1 goes to 0. And what we have is y equals, and here I'll change up colors again, 3. That's our 3. And then our x is still black. X minus, then we have a negative 6 plus 1. A color for B was what, this purple? Minus 5. All right. So our slope stayed the same for the most part, the entire equation, but our y-intercept was a bit that changed. Okay, so this point slope formula is we use this when we have a point, when we're given a point and we're given the slope, and we plug our values in. All right, we plug our point in into the y1 into the x1 spot, then we plug our slope in and we solve like normal. Okay, I will talk you through how to do the second example, but I want you all to do that one. All right, example says, write an equation of the line that has a slope of 1/3 and passes through the point 3, 2. Okay, so let's help you. I'll help you all. I'll start you off by doing that first step, and that's labeling. This is our x1 here, and this is our y1. You're going to take these x1 and y1s and plug them into the red spots in this equation right here. All right, and then your slope, which is this 1/3, that's going to go in the same spot that we have our slope in here. All right, we're matching our colors with our colors. Our slope and the equation goes in the slope spot in the formula. and so do our points, okay? If you have questions with this one, come back to the Zoom chat, please ask. All right, let's move on to the type 3. If you need a second to do the next bit, go ahead and pause, work through that, and then move on with me. Hit play. Okay. Our next example, this is the one that's going to involve our Desmos. So remember when I asked you to pull it up earlier? If you didn't, not really too much of a problem. Go ahead back to Schoology and pull up Desmos. It's going to be that second link. I'm going to split screen it because I like to split screen when I'm working with Desmos. Our steps say, our first step says in line 1, we're going to click the plus sign and choose a table. We're going to add a table. By now, you should know how to do this. We've done this quite a bit. And then we're going to type our points into the table using the arrow keys to change our columns. And then in line 2, we're going to type this out exactly. Y1, the little tilde, the squiggle, mx1 plus b. All right, that seems kind of difficult, but I'm going to run you through it. I promise it won't be that bad. So this example says, write an equation of the line that goes through the points 2, 1, negative 2, 1, and 4, 2, okay? Negative 2, 1, and 4, 2. So my first step was to type my points into Desmos. So I'm going to type in negative 2. Now look, my X value that needs, I'm pointing to my screen like you guys can see it. Goodness. My X value right here, this portion, that needs to go into the X column on Desmos. And then my Y value, this bit right here, needs to go into the Y column on Desmos. So negative 2, 1. And then my next point is this 4, 2. Okay, so that's my first step. If you want to go look back over here, step 1 was put the table. Step 2 was to type the points. We just did step 2. And now the last step, step 3. All right. Look at what I type in the Desmos screen so that way I don't lose you. We're going to type Y, just the letter Y, then the number 1. It does the typesetting and all that stuff for you. And then we're going to hit what's called the tilde. It's the key underneath your escape key on your Chromebooks. And if you're on a different kind of laptop, it's under the escape key. It's the first thing. It's right next to 1. You're going to hit shift and then you're going to tap it. And it's going to give you the squiggle. All right. So you're going to do Y1 squiggle. Then you're going to hit MX1 plus B. All right. And now by now, you're probably seeing all these things pop up on your screen like, oh my gosh, what the heck is this? I don't know what's going on. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. I promise we will get through it. So now that you've typed in your Y1, your squiggle, your tilde, which is underneath the escape key next to the 1 key, and then your X1 plus B, you're going to get all this information. But what we want is down here, this M and this B. All right. What we're going to do, since these things are decimals, we don't want to type that right into because it's hard to draw the slope of a decimal number. So we're going to type it in. We're going to hit M, and it gives us what our M value is. And then over here, if you guys haven't seen this little fraction bar thing, you can click that, and it changes it to a fraction. Woohoo, there we go. Now we don't have this weird, crazy looking decimal to work with. But we're not quite done yet. Now, since we also need a value for our B, we're going to type in B, and this gives us another crazy decimal. And we're going to click this little symbol in Desmos to change the decimal into a fraction, and we're going to use these values as we write our equation. So now, for example 3, we have Y equals, here it is, Y equals, our M this case is this, I can't mark it over here, but it's this 1/6, Y equals 1/6 X. Actually, that X should be black. 1/6 X plus, and what is my B? My B is down here. It's this 4/3, 1/6 X plus 4/3. All right. So that was a lot of steps. I'm going to actually go ahead and run through the second example with you in this one. The rest of them I think you all can do, but this second example, you may need to see me run through it again. So let's do it. I'm going to go from the very beginning. I have the points 0, 1, and 1, 4. So I'm going to click the plus, go to this table, I'm going to type my y1, my x1 and y1. That's going to be 0. Then I'm going to the y column and 1. And then my next one is 1, 4. I'm going to type those in. And then I'm going to come to number 2. And I'm going to type y1. And then I'm going to hit shift, squiggle, m, x1 plus b. So we're typing the formula in, for the most part, exactly the way that we know it to be. We're just putting in the squiggle, and we're telling it to use y1 and x1 to make this equation. And here, it gives us whole numbers. Our m is 3 and our b is 1. So we're going to run with that. We don't need to do any kind of conversion from decimals to fractions. So we're going to end up with y equals m is 3, 3x plus, and my b is 1. All right, 3x plus 1. If this is still confusing you, because I know this can be confusing, it is a lot of steps, come back to the Zoom chat and ask. All right, so we've made it through 3 types. Now we're on the last type, okay? And this one I won't take too long because you could use a couple of different methods for this one. So when we are just given a graph, the graph of an equation, we got a couple of different ways we can do it, but our steps are going to be first and always, I don't need decimals up anymore. Oops. Identify the slope. We get to the right color here. Identify the slope. Ooh, that's not how you spell slope. S-O-O-P-E. And my slope is going to be the m, which is also going to be my rise over my run, okay? It's going to be my rise over my run. And in case you don't remember how to count that from a graph, my rise, we're going to count up and down first. So we got rise, count up and down, up and, or down, not and down, up or down. If you count down, then it's going to be negative. So you're going to do that first. And then count to the right. All right. Count up or down first and then count to the right. That's my rise, okay? My run is just going to be, oh, oops. I didn't mean to include it into my, this run right here, count to the right, that's going to be my run. Count right. Okay, so once we identify our slope, then we're going to identify our y-intercept. Y-int, that looks like an equal sign. And then we're going to substitute the m and the b into the slope intercept form, okay? I'm going to type out, write out b first because I have that color selected. So substitute m and b into the slope intercept form, all right, which is what we were used to doing. We've done that quite a bit. And then another option is going to be to pick 2 points and use the steps for the type 3, which is the one we just did, the Desmos one. Use those steps to find your slope, okay? So if you don't have access to if the graph doesn't show our y-intercept, it just shows the x-intercept, you're going to want to pick 2 points and then find it that way. All right, examples 4.1 and 4.2, write the equation of a line and slope intercept form given the graph. This one, I'm going to let you all do this one, okay? I believe that we've learned a good bit of it so far. If you're struggling with it, by all means, please let me know and I will help you. But we have learned these ways just prior, so I want you to exercise that knowledge, okay? If you get stuck on any parts of this set of notes, come back, ask them, and I will help get you through. Once you finish this, go ahead and move on to the classwork. Okay. And if at any point you get stuck, come back to the Zoom chat and ask.